News Weekend.
It's Sunday, and I'm wearing some gloves and goggles, so that must mean it's Science Sunday here on First News. We have the one, the only, the science expert, Martin Fisher from Science Central in Studio 15 today.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you. And you guys look so good in that safety equipment.
I'm going to wear these for weather.
I'm definitely ready for experiment here.
Well, since we're dealing with safety equipment, that means we must have something dangerous. And what is more dangerous than an Easter peep? So you have these extra Easter peeps. What do you do with them if you can't stand marshmallows? You freeze them in liquid nitrogen. So, Rob, if you can go ahead and tear off a couple of them. What we're going to do is an experiment with temperature. The question is, can we take something that is a solid and make it even more solid? So a marshmallow, it is solid, right? I put it on this block of wood. I hit it with a hammer. If the camera zooms in, you'll be able to see that it is a solid. Now, it's soft. It's kind of squishy. Ow, quit it. Ow,
still kind of fresh.
But it is a solid. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take one and we're going to freeze it. So I've got some liquid nitrogen inside of this container.
Now, liquid nitrogen is not something that anybody's going to have laying around at home,
this is not something that you'll be able to play with. It's only something that would be used at science centers, universities, hospitals will use them. Chris, if you can go ahead and take one and just toss it into the liquid nitrogen.
I'm so bad doing this.
Oh, stop it, stop it. Oh, help me, help me. So this is sticking to the There we go. So what we're doing is we're taking the molecules of marshmallow. Now, a marshmallow is made up of cells of sugar, and those cells are filled with air. But what we're doing is we're making it colder. And as it gets colder, the molecules of marshmallow move slower. And as they move slower, they move closer together. So can we take a solid and make it even more solid? So I'm going to very carefully remove this marshmallow, put it down on the block of wood.
That's not smoke we're looking at there coming
That is not. That's condensation from steam. Here we go. Zoom in on the count of three. 1, 2, 3.
Wow.
Awesome. I hate it when that happens. So, yes, you can take something that's a solid, even if it's squishy like this, and make it even more solid.
Very cool. And let's talk a little bit about the liquid nitrogen, too. It was bubbling a lot because it's actually boiling at air temperature, right? Room temperature?
I don't know if I'll try to turn the camera, and if the camera, let's see which one is on, can zoom in, you'll notice that this clear, colorless liquid is bubbling. It is boiling at room temperature. It's not on a hot plate. It's not in a stove. It's boiling because the temperature in this room, which is what, maybe about 70, 71 degrees, is much, much warmer than the liquid nitrogen at negative 320 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit. If I pour it out on the table, it immediately evaporates, boils away.
And so that's why we're wearing the safety equipment.
Exactly, because we don't want to have our tissues, our fingers, our skin damaged by this. The interesting thing about the science of heat is that, get this, folks, heat moves. Cold does not move. So you always hear, oh, I'm catching a cold. No. You may be catching a microorganism, microbiology, but heat leaves your warm body and goes into something that's cooler.
You always hear heat rises, right? So that just pushes the cold down, right?
Well, heat, it does rise. It's moving away from something that's warmer because higher up in the atmosphere, it's cooler up there, and the air is less dense, as you know.
Absolutely. Well, very cool. And so basically, much like the PEEP, if you were to touch this liquid nitrogen, you would also become a solid.
Exactly. These liquid nitrogen activities, not this one in particular, but our family overnight is coming up in like a week or two. So if people go to our website, you can actually register for your family to be able to stay in Science Central in that old building overnight, and you get to do fun science experiments with liquid nitrogen and physics and technology. It'll be a good evening.
I've been going there since a kid. I enjoyed it as a kid, and now as an adult, it's still fun.
It's even better.
Always a pleasure to have you in, Martin Fisher.
Thank you.
From Science Central. We've got more information about this experiment and Science Central on WANE.com. Coming up, we'll take a look at